So it's been forever since the last time that I put a video together. And I think the reason is a lot of the times I was overthinking as far as like the production of this and like how it's good, the lighting looks the best, whatever the case may be. And what I want to do moving forward is just simplify it and just, pick an area in the house to shoot. It's a new house. We actually moved in. So I've been distracted the last few months with a lot of renovations and two floods. Yeah, that's a story for another day. There's been a lot of things going on, but I wanted to go straight into today's video, which is, well, first of all, if you guys follow us on Instagram, I might have posted a few months ago that I did make the change from Nikon to Sony. It was inevitable. I think that I gave Nikon, their fair share and their fair chance to keep up with the competition, and I just don't think that they did. I will go into a full video on that because there is a lot going on there. But today I want to talk about the Tamron 70-180 2.8. This lens was announced about a year ago or so, or came out about a year ago. And I remember when I first saw rumors of it, when I first saw that it was announced, it was something that was definitely on my radar because I've been shooting with the 70-200, this big boy right here, for the longest time, and I knew that eventually I was going to have to switch or change or something because the lifespan on those, it's only so long. I had my original 70-200 for about from 2007 until about 2015, I think, something like that. And then I switched over, got the white one, got a different one. And I knew that if I'm going to move forward, I'm going to need another telephoto lens. Now, I knew as soon as they announced it that I wanted it. And I'm not just saying that because Tamron was kind enough to send it over to test it out and all that, but it was because of the difference. I mean, that right there, it didn't even fit in the frame. That right there is a significant difference. That's with the camera attached to it. It's still, this is still longer. So, and heavier. Actually, this is the first time that I grabbed it for this review in, I think, about 3 or 4 months since I switched over. And this feels like it weighs more than this combined. So, when you're shooting for 10 hours at a time, it does make a significant difference. So I wrote down a few lists of things that I wanted to go over. The first time that I tested out the 70-180 was at the dry lake bed, and it was tremendous. That's when it really, really won me over, because at the time I didn't have my own 70-180. So one of our photographers, he was assisting me that day. I asked him if he could bring his. I attached it on. I got a bunch of, really cool shots. The way that it focused was ridiculous. Granted, it's on the A9, which is a really, really well-focusing camera. But besides that, it was just really, really quick. It would not miss focus. And that to me is pretty incredible because on such a light package, for it to be that, I'm going to say it, that much better than this. Granted, this is the version 1. But to be that much better, to me, is mind-blowing that we've come this far. Where something that looks like a 24-70 and is actually thinner, I think, than the 24-70 that I have, is that much better. So I was very impressed. I reached out to Tamron, and then they sent me one that I could test out and play with, and it's been about 3 or 4 months, more or less, that I've been using it, and so far, I want to find something negative to say about it. It's pretty hard. There is one thing that's not negative, but it's a slight concern, and I'll get to that at the end. So yeah, benefits, as I was writing down on these notes for you guys, is size and weight. I mean, it's night and day. If you're shooting for 10 hours a day, it's really, really hard for me to justify getting this big metal bulky thing versus getting this, which is a lot lighter. I'll detach it from this, and everybody's gonna have a heart attack that the sensor's being exposed. But but I mean, it does come out a little bit, when you zoom in and out. Unlike that one, which is all internal, but really it's a negligible amount. And most of the time, when I'm walking around, I always bring it in. You can even lock it because it does have the locking mechanism on the side. So you can't zoom it in or out, so you're not having any issues with that. Other than that, build quality, it's great. I really, you know, I don't baby my equipment, I don't abuse it, but I also use it as it's meant to be used, and it's held up really well. The trade-off. Now, here's one thing that I thought about when I was switching over from the 70 to 200, which is kind of like a staple focal length in photography terms. One thing that I thought about was, okay, am I going to miss that 180 to 200? The answer is not at all. If you go in and you zoom your camera, if you guys have the 70 to 200, go in, go to 180, take a photo, and then zoom into 200 and take a photo. And then tell me if you really miss that little tiny bit of, you know, push at the end. Now, on the wider end, that does make a big difference to me. I do like the 24 to 70 range instead of the 28 to 70 or 28 to 75. So I ended up getting a 24 to 70 because on the back end, I do want that wideness. On the longer end, that little tiny bit doesn't really make that much of a difference to me. But yeah, do the experiment yourself, because that's what I did. And I'm like, I'm not going to miss that. On top of that, on the A9, I have it on my C1 button, which is the one by your index finger, to go into crop mode, into DX mode, or, you know, whatever, APS-C mode. And when you do that, I mean, you're essentially extending it by what, 1.5 is the difference. So if I need that extra reach where I want to compose it in camera, I end up using that with 24 megapixels. You're still getting a, you know, when you crop it down, you're still getting a good amount, or you can crop it in post, whichever you prefer. But I just didn't see that little bit of losing of millimeters at the end to be that detrimental. And as far as price, I mean, it's pretty freaking hard to justify spending, you know, on some lenses like the Canon or the Sony G Master or Nikon or any of those, spending that extra $1,000 or whatever it may be. This one goes for about $1,200, and sometimes it goes on sale every once in a while. If you follow their Instagram, they do have sales which is like $100, $150 off, so you can get it even for a little bit less. And it's hard for me to tell somebody, especially if you're starting out, to go, yeah, spend $2,200, $2,800 on a 70 to 200. When you can get something that's much lighter, much more versatile, because it, you know, you don't have to make a whole lot of room in your bag to fit that thing. Usually when I put it in there, in my shoulder bag, I put it in with that lens on face down, and then it closes easily. So that lens, entire lens, I can put it inside the bag with the camera attached to it. Not even the hood flipped over. Like, I just put it straight in and close the bag and it fits. There's no way that would ever happen, even with the hood the other way. Now, one thing I will say, as far as like the sharpness, what I mentioned earlier, the reason, partially the reason why I think this is way, way, way sharper is because of the mirrorless system. I think that plays into it. It's a newer camera, newer system. This is a lot older. This, with a mirror camera that I've been using for 500,000 photos, eventually you're going to lose a little sharpness. So I do get that. But it still outperforms anything, even when that was brand new, even when my D850 was brand new. It never was as sharp as that combination. So that is something that definitely has stood out to me. The only thing, when I said earlier in the video that I would mention a negative, because I don't like being completely like one-sided and there's nothing that I would complain about. The only thing that I'm not complaining about, but it's a concern that did cross my mind, is this thing is pure metal. I have beaten the crap out of it, and you can probably see it in the video. So that definitely, I think in the long term, that will hold off for way more years. This may need a little love eventually, because although it is very robust and it doesn't feel cheap by any means, I can't see it being as, you know, taking a beating as that has. Only time will tell, so I could be completely wrong. This thing could be a freaking workhorse, and 5 years from now, I'm eating my words. I'll let you guys know. You know, if you guys follow us on Instagram, I will post whatever happens with all of our equipment. So, as you guys can see, I posted a AD200 with a whole mountain of sand on it, and yeah, a few of you kind of lost your minds on it. Anyway, so that's pretty much it with the 70 to 180. Again, this isn't a super technical channel. If you're looking for how many elements and blades and all that nonsense, I mean, I'll send you the manual. You can download it and read it, I guess. But this is more like a real life, how we use it, how it performs. You know, since I got it, I've probably shot, it's been 3 or 4 months. It's been 2021, so a lot of catching up of weddings from last year. So probably 25 weddings, maybe, something like that. Engagement sessions, portrait sessions, all that. Here's a little extra. I was about to miss it. Mark, one of our post-producers, shooters, when I go to New York, he showed me this little trick, which I didn't know about. If you put this lens in manual focus mode and you manually focus on something very, very close, like I'm doing with this pen, and I don't have a memory card in this camera, so you're not going to be able to see it. But if you focus on something very, very close, it essentially becomes your macro lens. Now, I'm going to post a few photos of some ring shots that we've done with this lens in manual mode. So you have to switch it to manual either here or I think that in the A7 III. It's a different area. I'm not sure exactly where. This is the A9, so it's up here. You switch it to manual, leave it at 70, and then manually focus. And it acts basically as a macro lens, which is a sweet detail, which I overlooked when I first got it. Thank you, Mark. I'm actually going to be selling my macro lens because I really have no use for it. I've been using that ever since I found it. So if anybody wants a 105 macro 2.8 that I use for 5 minutes every single shoot, let me know. Anyway, that is a sweet, sweet little detail about it. It was the last thing I wanted to mention. I don't want to make this any longer. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, anything that I missed, anything that you guys ask politely and are nice about it, I'm always happy to answer. If you left a comment on our YouTube page, you know that I've always answered. Same thing with Instagram. Yeah, let me know whatever you guys need. I'm always happy to help. All right, I'm gonna try to film some more too because I know we've been lacking. And like I said, I'm just simplifying everything, shooting, and let's get this content out. Any questions, any videos that you guys want to watch, let me know. All right, and I'll see you on the next one.